Welcome to Panelism, a podcast where we talk about the comics and graphic novels we're reading. I'm Todd A.
I'm Taylor Trask.
Good morning, Taylor.
Morning, Todd. It's another Sunday morning. I don't know how it is there in California, but it is certainly 20 degrees here in Colorado. So, yeah, our autumn has been a little short-lived, sadly. Yesterday was beautiful, and it's just like, nope. You're going to be in winter for a long time.
Wow. Yeah, we haven't had any autumn yet. We had rain the other night, which is insane. We actually had thunderstorms like on the beach. And then the yesterday and today have been very overcast and gray. It may be marine layer at this point. It may not be sort of the showers lingering. But
do you guys have the same phenomenon in the San Diego area that San Francisco does, where it's, maybe an hour in the morning, it's sunny, and then the fog rolls in, or the clouds roll in, and then it's stormy, and then it's sunny again, all in one day? We
never have storms, so that's the thing. And rarely have rain. So
okay.
And it's all seasonal here. It's not like daily, like in I understand San Francisco. We have the May gray and the June gloom, where the marine layer is like just covers everything, and it's just gray all day. Yeah. It's actually weird if you were a tourist visiting the beach from LA south in May or June, because it might just be gray all day, and you're like, this sucks.
It's funny. I keep forgetting. This just speaks to my lack of awareness of California. I keep forgetting San Diego is south of LA. I always think LA is the furthest southern point in California, but no.
Those Yankees?
Yeah, exactly. Those northern aggressors.
They are aggressive. Are you drinking anything this morning? We used to talk about coffee and such.
We did, and I am. It's funny you mentioned that. I actually picked up some beans yesterday, and my lovely wife bought some beans as well. So I am firing up the celebratory standard blend from Loyal Coffee. I've mentioned them a few times.
Oh, cool.
And I bought this particular one because I said, hey, I'm having a hard time with my French press these days. It's just not coming together like I want. They're like, well, try this. This is kind of our utility blend. We use it here. We use it in AeroPresses at our own homes and French presses. So try this. And actually, it's one of the better French presses I've done recently. So I think they were onto something. Huh. Rachel got me some. There's a local little kind of kiosk in Manitou that does butter coffee, and they do it in some weird way I'm not familiar with. They've got they roast it all in the kiosk, so everything is right there. But they prepare it. If you get it brewed in the morning, or you get like a cappuccino or something, they prepare it in a weird way that's like, I can't even describe it. It's kind of, it's not one of those it's not a Chemex. It kind of looks like a Chemex, but they've got like these 6 or 7 identical burners that are sort of side by side. So I'm not quite sure how they do it. I'll have to investigate that further. How about you?
I'm drinking some gunpowder green tea.
A standard.
Yeah, which feels kind of fall-ish. And it's one of the few. Well, I mean, just like as I'm looking out my window into this overcast gray day and having this, I guess it's not. I don't care about fall spices and stuff, so that's not what it is. I actually had I
don't care about fall spices. Give it to me like it used to be.
Yesterday when it was like raining and it's finally dipped below 70, and I got an iced coffee, and the barista was like, "Are you sure you want that iced?" And I was like, "Yeah, hot coffee is terrible."
Oh, geez, she probably just shook her head and told all her coworkers.
I don't think I used any. Yeah, I didn't use a judgmental word like terrible. I just said, "Oh, I can't drink hot coffee," and she was like, "Really?"
Condition. I was born with the ability to drink hot liquids.
The devil's temperature.
Yeah. Well, what book do you have this morning, Todd? Because in our new format, we're just going to do one book each episode. I think it keeps it a little bit more compact. And it's your turn in our ongoing series of wonderful reviews. And if you're listening, our hope, if you're new to the show, our hope is that you take these episodes with you to the comic shop. Oftentimes you go to the comic shop, and there are some shops that have some amazing people working there that can really guide you. Some of them aren't, but in either case, we hope that this is a way for you to find something new. If you walk in, maybe hopefully our picks will be one of the first things you go to, flip through it. Maybe you take it home. Maybe you're on Amazon. You grab something for Comixology. So what, Todd, is your pick on this wonderful Sunday morning?
Sure. I have, I'm on a strange mainstream kick, and I selected Domino, the first arc of this rebooted series that is written by Gail Simone with the art by David Baldeon. And it's a Marvel comic. We all saw Domino in Deadpool 2 this summer. This is not that Domino.
No, that'll be my first question for you.
I wish it were, just because it is, it's it leans more on the traditional comic book Domino. So this is a white lady. A very, very white lady.
I was going to say very white lady. Like I want to get into that one.
I was trying to figure out how to say that in a way that sounded like I'm actually referring to the color of
literally white. Like she literally looks like
like a domino. She looks like a domino.
Yeah.
So I don't know what motivated me this week to say, you know what, I'm just going to do another of the big two. But I'll get into my enjoyment of this again. So this is the first arc, and it is compiled in a volume called Killer Instinct. But that volume, it comes out in November. You can pre-order it now on Amazon, of course, or at your local comic shop. As we learned from Mockingbird, it would be great if you went in and ordered the stuff you want ahead of time. Which none of us do. But anyway, so the first arc is 6 issues. I was picking them up. Knowing that Gail Simone was writing it, I just put it on my pull list. So the annual came out maybe last week, the first annual of it. So I thought that was a good time to sort of, look at it all together as a series and see where we are at the beginning. I'll give you the back cover elevator pitch of it. Impossible targets call for impossible shots, and no one can make them like Domino! ! Marvel's #1 soldier of fortune is back in an explosive new series! The product of a failed super soldier program, that sounds familiar. Nina Thurman has always made her own luck as the sharpshooting mercenary known as Domino. ... But what happens when her own powers betray her? ? The hunter becomes the hunted as every merc in the game smells blood in the water, and Domino's formerly charmed life is turned upside down! ! Plus, a pair of beloved Marvel characters return! ! Amadeus Cho lends a hand! ! And who is Domino's evil counterpart? ? None of that. I put this in our notes this morning, and then I went, this doesn't tell you anything about the series.
Well, I was going to ask the sort of the emphasis on the exclamation points. Is that tone sort of indicative of what you're going to find? Is it sort of, exciting, bite-sized, crazy 80s action drama? It's like, is it like that? Or is that just, did somebody misunderstand and write the back of the cover not quite understanding the book?
My copywriter heart went out to whoever had to prepare this with literally no background on the series. I'm sure this just went to like some catalog copywriter, and they were like, what's it about? And they're like, whatever. And he Wikipedia'd Domino, and then or she or they and wrote this because it just this could be about any 6 issues of Domino.
Wow.
It's weird that the mercenary thing, which I hate when it gets shortened to merc, like with Deadpool. But when that is a thing that comes up over and over again in like she says it in there, but it has nothing to do with the story really. Like you don't feel like that's what's going on. You feel like what has happened is Domino has decided to start her own team. Mm-hmm. And she wants a small team. She wants it to be like friends of hers that can work together. And that's kind of vague on like, are they working together being superheroes? Or are they working together being mercenaries? They're for hire basically. And they, may have to do like the first mission they're on is related to timber piracy or something like that. Like people, the gangs involved in the timber trade.
Wait, whoa. That seems very oddly specific. I
know it definitely seems oddly specific. I wonder if Gail Simone lives in Portland or something. Yeah. Because there's like a joke where Domino's like, yeah, I hadn't heard the word heard the term until yesterday either.
Oh, that's awesome. All right.
But that quickly turns out to be like a.
By the way, Gail Simone was born in Oregon. Just for the
totally makes sense. Like, I mean, you're on page 3, and it's like the Pacific Northwest Rural Route D72.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That is
okay.
Well, and that follows, by the way, a fine tradition of Portland-based creators incorporating the Northwest into their work.
For sure.
There's a lot of that, like anything from Oni Press, anything from Floating World, like you see that, and it's not distasteful. It's just funny that there's a sort of a pride in the environment there of all those people. You don't see a lot of Colorado creators doing that for whatever reason. It's interesting.
Yeah. Good point. That's a whole side topic. Because I've noticed there also seems to be like a sort of ebb and flow to TV shows actually set in LA. It feels like there's sort of years where everything is set in LA, and you're like, oh my God, like these people could not be more obviously, sort of like sequestered in their own environment. That's all they can write about. And then there'll be a whole several years where they're all over the place, and you're like, CSI Des Moines, what the hell?
It's CSI Des Moines. Well, but the LA comparison is apt too, because a lot of, traditionally a lot of movies, TV shows, like stuff was centered around LA. Like, not to get off the beaten path, but the movie La La Land resonated so much with actors, producers, directors, because it was celebrating, where they're from, what they're about. Portland, as we've discussed, is sort of the LA of the comics world. It is, for better or for worse, it is the epicenter of comics now in America, as like, that is, you can live anywhere, but that's kind of where the concentration of creative talent goes to be seen, or that's where publishers are. So it's interesting that for comics and a quick little teaser, my pick this week, which will be in another episode, is also going to sort of reference this, but it's interesting that even in the Marvel sort of world that bleeds in. Yeah, it's not like, oh, it's New York. Oh, it's it's a fictitious place. It's Metropolis. No, it's kind of leans into that. Sorry. Anyway. Yeah.
It was definitely Gail, paying homage to her hometown or place of birth or whatever. That was a segue into territory that we don't actually come back to. They start out with this mission. It's turns out to be a setup. I don't think that's spoiling anything for me to tell you that. And from there, Domino finds out that she is being targeted by someone. And so I brought that together with this mission to the Pacific Northwest, because it's you see the three of them on a mission. So
who are the three? Well, who are the three? Let's go.
So this is her team that she's put together, and it's obviously like this is a theme of the book. It's the team and the friends, because she mentions several times, I've been on a lot of teams, but I find the one to put together, my team. So it's herself, Domino, a character named Outlaw, who is a mutant who is just super strong and sort of dresses like Daisy Duke or something, or at least Jessica Simpson's interpretation of Daisy Duke. And then Diamondback, who is not a mutant, and as far as I know, just blows stuff up, but seems to have some kind of superhuman resilience or something,
Mm-hmm.
So definitely the Outlaw. I don't know if that's her costume or not. I mean, it's like literally like a fringe vest and then a denim mini skirt and then just giant cowboy boots and a cowboy hat. And it's that thing too of like, you're getting in fights all the time. I don't know if you can get cut or bleed or whatever, but is this comfortable? Like, are you protected? I don't know. Plus cowboy boots, certainly with bare legs, seems like such a terrible idea to me.
Well, let me ask you this, because this sort of trickles into something we've talked about a few times. Do you feel like this was the unnecessary sexualizing of a woman character in a comic, or is it just sort of paying homage to that kind of archetype of I can't even think of the word. Like femme fatale, sort of like, just like these sexy ladies are all on a crime spree together, and they look like they look because they want boys to buy comics. Is that you? How do you feel? I think
it's mostly the latter. I think it's mostly like an homage kind of thing. But the only reason I think that is because of this dumb back cover copy which alludes to a pair of beloved Marvel characters return. And all I can think of is like, oh, I guess when the creators were making this and they wanted to make a team for Domino, they just sort of went, hey, who are two cool women characters that, you know, would have been like in Domino's peer group or something, and they pick Outlaw to join. But I don't think she's being overly sexualized, but it's just that there's this scene when they're in Oregon and it's, you know, it's raining and it's like they're out in the woods trying to stop the timber piracy, and she says something about getting mud in her boots, and this is the weirdest thought process segue thing for me. But all I could think of was like when I was a kid and I'd be playing with my GI Joes or something, and you know, it'd be like the guy in the snow outfit, but I'm playing a desert adventure and there's no explanation for why he can't change clothes to be in the, like, I'm going, yeah, you know, Gail, you wrote this, like, just just have her bring, like, that would be even, I don't know. I just, you know, like, what if she were
a duster
or something like, yeah. Like if she's makes some comment, like, I can't even walk in these Timberlands or something, you know, like, I don't know. It's just so weird. Like, can you not, you can't even, she's in the miniskirt. It's like
right now.
It's raining. She's out in the woods in the rain and she's in the miniskirt and the stupid fringe vest. Anyway, so I assume it's sort of an homage to some older character. I'm unfamiliar with Outlaw and Diamondback. They make a good pairing because definitely a big theme that's leaned into in this is that Domino is a mutant and she has that mutant past of feeling that great loneliness and feeling like an outcast. Plus, through this arc, what we're discovering is, so we discover from that first mission that someone is targeting them because of this setup. You know, someone has gone to great lengths to isolate the three of them out in the woods and then ambush them. And that person just didn't know that they would come as a team. You know, thought it would be Domino.
Okay.
So and Outlaw's with her. Diamondback is sort of hiding out. Like Diamondback appears, you know, to offer support at the end of the fight. So it's like they, you know, not only did they not know there were two people, they didn't know there was a third. And from that, they befriend another mutant, a mutant who's been sent as part of the setup, who's been hired actually to hurt them. But they befriend him. And this is definitely where that part of the outcast thing shows up right away, because his mutant powers that he transforms into this awful like demigorgon thing.
You want to say who it is, or is that a spoiler?
No, he's just given the name Adelbert. I've got to look where I wrote it. Yeah.
So not somebody we would know necessarily.
No. And
Adelbert. So, featuring Adelbert.
Yeah. So after the ambush is over, you know, he turns back into his human form, and
it's not like the Hulk, is it? I mean, it's not like Amadeus Cho's counterpart or Nemesis, is it?
No, it's really just a side character to demonstrate, and this is a really good thing they do. Like they just bring in another stray into their pack, you know. Okay. But he, you know, when he transforms back, he says this thing of like, yeah, you know, this is easy for you to say, like they say they're mutants and you know, they're being targeted because they're mutants or something, and he's like, oh yeah, what, you're not mutants, you both look like models. Like look at me. I can't hold a job. I can't have a family. I'm like this hideous monster. So
I love that commentary, by the way. That's really, that's important.
Yeah. So they bring him back to Domino's house, and Domino, you know, even though a couple of, you know, the team sort of protests, and she's like, look, we're all strays. You know, this is all like, we're all that outcast. It turns out that they are, the Outlaw and Diamondback are throwing a surprise party for Domino's birthday at her apartment. So when they arrive, like the elevator opens, of course she lives in a penthouse in San Francisco. And there's this, you know, every sort of like hero from the sort of mutant side is there. Like there's a few X-Men and Deadpool's there, and I can't remember who else, but it's, you know, it's that echelon. It's not the Avengers echelon. You get the feeling the Avengers are the cool kids and the mutants are like the, you know, the punk kids from high school.
Yeah.
So I think there's a very good characterization of like, she is very much loves her friends for doing this for her, but also loves that her friends understand I can only take so much of this party. You know, so her friends end up, she has a few drinks, she, you know, participates in the party, and then she goes to bed, and the friends are like, we'll cover for you. We'll tell them you passed out, you know, and you're having so much fun. And so it's kind of, you're feeling that like the friends really get her. They have all bonded, you know, these three. Once she is safely in bed, these two people show up at her window. There's a little balcony, and they're like at the window, walking into her bedroom, and ostensibly to give her a gift. It is a broken domino, and she's like, "What the?" And then all of a sudden, she is in this crazy fight with this woman that has come into her bedroom, and that woman throws her through the window off the skyscraper. That's how issue 1 ends.
Wow.
So in that, you hear the villain say, she has the ability to like turn off your power or something. And you realize that this luck thing that they've talked about through the whole issue, where Domino's set it up of, it always feels like there's sort of like a little mouse in my brain and I can feel it scurrying around and creating the luck. Mm-hmm. And she's like, all of a sudden can't feel the luck, and she's falling off the skyscraper. So this whole arc is about those two characters and how they have been intertwined in her life.
And this is not her nemesis. Is not this other character is not somebody we've met before, is it? It's not like
I don't know.
It's you, Moriarty, back again. Or is that? I mean, is that spoilery?
So I don't think it's someone we've met before in the comics. I think this is a wholly like original character at this moment, but Domino has met them before in her life.
Okay.
And so part of this arc it deals with these flashbacks, which are done in this really cool thing. They establish maybe even in the first issue of she uses the word like my memories are in chiaroscuro. So it's like they will flip to black and white with sort of splashes of color to detail this young life that she had, where she was experimented upon. Very much like the X-23 story and Logan, like, you get this feeling that there's a bunch of kids in some sanitary medical facility and they're running experiments on them because they're all mutants. So you find out that these two people that have attacked her were in that group. And so I don't want to go too much into that story, but it's an old man and a woman around the age of Domino. Okay. So what you find out is that there is this connection between the old man and Domino. The better one does, the worse the other does. And he is actually prematurely aged because her luck power has grown so much. And then the other woman, Topaz, so the man's name is Prototype. The woman's name is Topaz. Topaz has the ability to sort of either aggravate or shut off mutants' powers. So she can turn up the volume on Domino's power so high that like her brain's going crazy.
Wow. Okay.
Or she can just shut it off and she has no luck. And that's, Domino says over and over again, like, I don't even have a power. Like, I'm just like a pretty good fighter who has this weird luck thing that everything seems to work out. So what I really liked about this was especially how it's told through the flashbacks, and especially how it's not all given. I mean, I know this sounds so obvious, but like writers kind of 101, how to write a like suspense, but it's definitely doled out at the proper pace over these 6 issues so that you don't feel like the whole backstory was given to you at once. And then you have 5 issues of like bigger and bigger fights.
Nice.
It's like every fight is definitely leading to the next big fight. There's only one sort of dumb action that I don't even think I need to name. One sort of like not stereotype, like a trope kind of thing that happens. And it's so minor that has to do with a fight and like thinking someone's dead when they're not. And, that's the only thing that it like recurs. And I went, that's the only like sticking point in the plot mechanics. But what I really loved about this was they've done that thing that Black Panther did, the movie, where the villain is, if you accept that Domino is this outcast mutant who's having a hard time making friends, and she's finally put together this team for herself. Well, here's the exact counterpart of that, who had the exact same childhood, but didn't have the benefit of looking like a model and having their powers feel like they've won the lottery every day. Like they've, Topaz and Prototype have had the very opposite life of, they had all the childhood torment didn't stop as they aged and became adults. And so it makes them these really complex victims or villains. And it builds up that final climax, where there's a conflict between them all of like having real stakes. Like for Domino, to defeat them in any kind of final way, whether that's, life imprisonment or death or, whatever it is like, you're basically like fighting yourself in that instance. These people didn't get the chance you did, and you're condemning them just because of the way they are. It's It's not a very heavy comic. Like, it's not like you have to sit there and read really deeply into this. It's just great that that happens. Along the way, Amadeus Cho, I can't even remember which Hulk he is, but he's one of the Hulks. Not the Incredible, he's the Amazing or the Totally Awesome Hulk or something like that. So he shows up, and he's kind of a fun foil as well to join the women on this adventure. And he's sort of in and out. Like, he's not just the beast that can solve all their problems in a big fight at the end. He's there for.
Remind me real quick. Does Amadeus Cho have control over his Hulk? Like, he's cognizant when he is the Hulk.
Yeah, it's all scientifically based or something, and he can like call on it and then just transform.
Nice.
So that's really, he's in there for for a team up factor, but yeah, that's crucial, is that he can just.
But I only asked because one of the foils of the regular, I was going to say the Ruffalo Hulk, Bruce Banner Hulk, is that it's when he's, oftentimes they use that, like, the chaos of the transformation for story points, and if that's removed from the equation, that can kind of set the story one way or another.
Yeah, I don't think I'm spoiling anything. Once Domino realizes what that Topaz has the ability to turn up or turn off her power, she seeks out Amadeus Cho because of whatever the nanite or something that he uses, whatever this particle is that helps him transform. She says, is there some way you can modify that to protect my power so that I can use it the same way you use it and turn it on and off? So yeah, that's like integral to that.
That's awesome.
To his reason for being in it, but he's also needs to Hulk out at one point. But he's kind of, he sort of comes in and then he goes out. Another character that has this amazing role in it is, and I don't know if this person is like in current canon at all. I don't know if this person has been current in Marvel for 20, 30 years, but Shang-Chi, the master of Kung Fu, appears. And This is like, I have a comic book of the master of Kung Fu from the 80s. I think I have number 1 because I remember buying it, being all into like karate and Kung Fu or something and thinking like, oh, this is the best. But at the time, I didn't really feel like there was any mythology. It was just their version of Bruce Lee. So in order to try to control her power as well and like figure out what's going on, she goes to Hong Kong and entreats Shang-Chi to study with him as the master so that he can teach her, but she thinks he's super hot. So there's like great, dialogue where he is not being flirty at all. It's like it's kind of predictable, but it's great in the way of like where he's just, you must call me master. And she's like, ooh, whatever you say, and but it just works with the Domino character very well.
Yeah.
And you also get that just real, I don't know. I just felt like it was more of the 3 dimensions of the Domino character, because in order to do this, she has to leave Outlaw and Diamondback behind. She doesn't want to tell them where she's going because in the last couple of ambushes, only the 3 of them have known where they would be, but she was still ambushed. So she's thinking like maybe one of them is somehow giving away our location or working with someone else. And so she has to do this alone. And so you get to see her on her own as well, which is nice to have a purely Domino adventure in a Domino comic book. But yeah, he's also integral to putting her on the right path. And then she gets back, and there's obviously like a final conflict with, where everyone's involved and this resolution to her. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely resolved. There's a real definite resolve to her childhood traumas and upbringings and stuff, and everything that like enhanced her mutant ability and it's not in detail told, but this lab is where she gets the tattoo on her eye of the pip of a Domino. And so, yeah. So
let me ask you 2 quick questions. Deadpool not involved in this story?
He comes back again. So he's at the party, and it's just alluded to that like he's actually got a heart, and like it's she can tell that Deadpool had a hand in this party because he got Dazzler to perform. Like, this is at her birthday party in the first issue, and then when Outlaw, I almost called her Outback, but Outlaw and Diamondback, when Diamondlaw and Outback
The Outback
Um,
Steakhouse.
when they realize, when they kind of put it together, like, she thinks one of us is betraying her.
Mhm.
Instead of reacting with anger and pettiness, they go, oh my gosh, we got to find her and tell her how much we love her and we would never betray her. We got to help her with this. So they call Deadpool to get some information on whatever. And so he only sort of shows up in a bit part thing. And honestly, I think that whole, like what I was saying about the back cover copy, all that stuff about the being a mercenary and the hunter becomes the hunted as every merc in the game, like that, no, I don't, that didn't play into this at all. Like that, I didn't even know what every merc in the game meant. That's not like, she's not. Okay.
That's so disappointing. Think about how many people pick up that book, read the back cover, and it's like that's and people who don't know better or don't have the sort of the experience of kind of realizing that that's not the case. It's just that people need to be more back cover. A lot of times, if you're in a comic shop and you've got so many choices at your disposal, like that back cover can sometimes be the deciding factor in what you pick up that week. So
I would, and it's that thing of if you want to know why a marginalized character becomes marginalized, like
yeah, no, that's great.
It all has to do with so much of the packaging too. And if you write it up like, someone who I would guess literally has never did not read this arc and is just describing it based on what, some other person in the marketing department told him to describe it like, then you don't see that there's any third dimension to Domino. She's already sort of a B-lister in the universe, I would say. I mean, I'm sorry. I know,
for now.
Right.
I think that might be changing. But.
Yeah. But no, I don't know that she's even had her own book before.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure. Maybe she has, but she's been a partner to people and, things like that. But yeah, this is like her breaking out on her own. Don't describe it as every merc in the game. Like that's, it's weird. Anyway,
let me ask you. Wait, one more question. Yeah. Is this, and this is kind of prescient based on the fact that let's assume this is her first book. This came out this year, right? This run.
Yes.
Is there any? Did you ever feel that like this was not as good or should have been the Zazie Beetz version of Domino from the movie? Is this like? Did you ever feel that dissonance or that disconnect?
Well, no. I think the like Zazie Beetz personification of Domino is so fun and so awesome on her own. I think the adjustment was the other way around when I was reading the first issue here, thinking, oh man, I actually kind of wanted them to do what they did with, Nick Cage as, Sam Jackson as Nick Cage and like just sort of refresh this character as Zazie Beetz,
When I asked that, because one of the most appealing aspects of her character in the movie was just her confidence. Like she was just so cool and like calm, and she's like the Fonz of the whole thing. And I'm just like that could work if you surround her with some more eccentric characters, that could work really well in a comics context.
Well, and having not encountered Domino in any other comic book, I mean, I may have read comics where she's part of the gang in the X-Men or something, but I think that's definitely what her characterization is anyway. Zazie Beetz just had a lot of panache in pulling that off, but that's definitely like, and it's such a great way to launch this comic book and have this first arc be about what happens when that character with that confidence becomes vulnerable.
Yeah. Okay.
And in this way that like she literally can't stand it. I love all the stuff like when she goes to the master of Kung Fu, literally to kind of learn mindfulness, is like, wow, that's like really cool, and it's not a long training montage of, a Karate Kid kind of, waxing on and waxing off. It's like, it's just a real fun adventure that she has with the master of Kung Fu and still manages to learn that lesson of like, if you get out of your head, your power will start to come back. So it, I realized reading this too, and especially in the context of having read Mockingbird so recently, that I just love taking these adventures with that kind of B-lister from Marvel, where it's all nicely wrapped up. And yeah, there's a hint at like what could come, but especially with like, I loved the art in this. It's very colorful. It's, a little bit cartoonish in some places, but I realized when I got the annual and there were many different artists who contributed to that, how much I prefer this to sort of this is a terrible way to put it, but like traditional superhero art. There's a story in the annual where it's all about her relationship with Cable. So it's done in this, like, I think it's all just a throwback style. It looks very much like if you had illustrated the Terminator 2, like this post-apocalyptic robotic Cable, it's like very gritty and sort of Rob Liefeld esque. But it's cutting back to a scene with Cable and Domino where they're both in a bathtub, and you can't. It was the same thing with Mockingbird when I was talking about that second volume in our past episode, where you're like, oh yeah, this is how, like, when a man writes a story, she's in a bathtub, and it's the top of her breasts are floating on top of the water, But
what's really funny though is that when you first said that, I just imagined them in their outfits, just kind of begrudgingly looking at each other in this bathtub. Like, it just, like, that could have gone any number of ways, but that's the sexy way, is what you're saying.
Ish. I mean, it's definitely juxtaposed with the violence of the Cable story in that. But even just that, a feeling like, oh yeah, that's how comic books, like, that's how superhero books often do look, and that's why I find I have to dip in and out of them. And even as much as I love that Tom King run on Batman that I read, I think one of the reasons that I haven't gone back and picked up more of those issues is because I do like this feeling of like, you know what, I dipped in, I liked what I read, I'm going to dip out. If I keep reading it over a couple of years or something, I don't know that I'm going to get that same wonderment feeling of liking all the, like, the art and everything. Anyway, I love the art on this. I would say, you're not missing anything if you don't get that annual. This volume 1 is a great thing to pre-order at your comic book shop. And for the recommended, if you like section, I definitely, if you read the Mockingbird volume 1, this is a great compliment to it, and vice versa. But also Rocket Girl, which I've talked about before on the show, and just sort of how that's also fun, but has some, a deeper story to it. And also bonus, what I love about Rocket Girl is volume 1 and 2, whole thing is wrapped up.
Yeah, you mentioned that. I forgot about that.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I liked this not concerning the whole universe. You don't have to know all the stuff that's going on with the X-Men and Deadpool and everything to dip into this and then, enjoy it and see where it goes with issue number 7, but don't feel like, you're obligated.
Yeah. Nice. Well,
I would say physical versus digital. Honestly, the digital version is probably beautiful. Like, this art just lends itself. It's so cool to look at, and it's not, I mean, the page spreads are great, but I bet it's, just as good digitally. It's like almost going to feel more like a television series or movie or something digitally. So
nice. Great. Well, that's your pick this week. We'll do, I guess, tune in for my pick as well. You can find us, and if you didn't realize, we have a new name. We're Panelism now. So you can find us. We are panelism.inc on Instagram, and the website will be panelism.inc as well. .inc being the extension, so not .inc.com, just .inc. Panelism.inc. Subscribe and share with your friends. You can find us wherever podcasts are found: Pocket Cast, Google Play, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, all those good places.
And we are, all those places already know us as Panelism. If somehow you get lost, throw in Todd and Taylor.
Yeah.
And you'll find us.
But hopefully with this name change, we're the only Panelism you'll find.
Yeah. You shouldn't find another one.
Yeah. So that's that's one of the many reasons we discussed this before. That's one of the many reasons we updated the name, and hopefully more things will come out of that name. So stay tuned on that. This has been another fine episode, sir. Go grab Domino, I guess, if you're heading to your shop.
Do it later.